Oh, there we go. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to another Tucker Tuesday. What's going on out there, chat? Happy Tuesday. Hope everyone's having a lovely, lovely day out there today. What's going on, chat? Oh, why am I having weird audio issues? What the hell is going on? Test 1, 2. Let me restart my audio driver. That's weird. Okay, hopefully that's working now. Going to be hopping on to Lethal Company in about an hour. Maybe I will join you for a little bit of off-air play, mayhaps. Maybe I'll play a little bit off-air with you there, bud. That game looks fun. I know I want to play a Friday after the show. Okay, we're good over there. Let's see who we got hanging out. Noah, what's up? Sam, Bookworm, Bash, Didoggy, Shiru, Eric, Fostonia, Kiro, Eric Grindstatter, what's going on? Frankie, hello, hello. Luna, J-Kate, hey buddy. Sin wants a job. This is my jab. If they stop when you're able. If they stop when you're able. What? If they stop when you're able. I don't know what that means. Oh, I'll be doing. Oh, okay. Okay. Well, I'll drop you a line. Maybe I'll play a little solo nonsense. Guys, we have a little bit of a thrown together show tonight, but an entertaining show nonetheless. You know, Thanksgiving, all that shit. Not too much to work with, but we're still going to have some fun. We're still going to have some fun with it. This is also the last day for regular donations on this channel. The last day, and I decided to keep the Black Friday deal. I decided to keep that running for now, at least, as to just see The Witcher and John Wick and all those, the Vegito, Zamasu. Well, I decided to leave that running for the time being because reasons. Just leave it running for reasons that have nothing to do with wanting to see the donations more. Oh boy. So guys, without too much nonsense and hoopla to talk about, I'm going to ask everybody to kindly caress that like button, share it out on your social media, and should you feel so inclined, the Streamlabs is listed down below with the Black Friday donation still intact, and this is the last time until next year. Until next year that you're going to see any of these donations here. And who knows, man? Honestly, some of them might not make it till next year. Some of them might not make it through the year. It might be getting rid of some, so could be the last time to see them full stop. Some of them. Not all of them. I am considering chopping a few of them out, though. Okay, smash that like, blah, blah, blah. Let's get to.
Several days ago, a man in his 50s, for reasons that are still not clear, stabbed 5 people outside a school in Dublin, Ireland, including 3 children. And then almost immediately...
The reason is that these people tend to be stabby. They tend to be more stabby than your average bear, as it were. Oh, I wonder if there's any connect. Oh, there we go. Oh fuck, Colt, you just gave me a good idea. Hold on, where's my pen and paper? Thank you, Cult. And overtook Stream Boss with that. Let's get some confetti going. Overtook Stream Boss with the Shrek making out with Ricky donation. Thank you so much, Cult. I appreciate that.
Immediately after, parts of that city erupted into rioting. What exactly is going on here? Well, the Washington Post stepped in helpfully to explain. And here's the tweet the Washington Post sent out. Quote, online rumors claimed the perpetrator of a stabbing attack was an immigrant. The BBC
Rumors.
C found that the man was an Irish citizen who had...
That does not mean he's not an immigrant. Sam says it's truly the only way to take over Stream Boss. It might be.
lived in the country for 20 years. Police blamed, quote, a lunatic faction driven by far-right ideology.
Tucker's a little low? All right. He was a little low on my end, too. I didn't want to...
For the riot in Dublin. That was the Washington Post's explanation. But actually, the man was an immigrant. He was from Algeria, and as it turns out, he's been living in Ireland for 23 years at public expense. He has never had a job.
God, this is just so predictable.
And then last week, unaccountably, he stabbed children. Well, many people in Ireland are absolutely sick of this. It's happening by design.
Who wouldn't be sick of this, by the way? Who wouldn't be sick of their children being stabbed by people who live off this? How is... I have to be very careful with what I say. We all know how YouTube is. But how do you deal with it?
The country's been completely transformed by immigration. It's not the Ireland you remember at all. And going forward, anyone who complains about that or questions government policy will be...
I'm just saying, I would really understand John Wick or The Witcher, which are both half off.
Guilty of a...
And the other Tucker one.
Felony. The new hate speech laws are coming to Ireland. No complaining about it. And of course, it's not just Ireland, it's across the West. What does this mean? What is happening here? And what's the right response to it? We thought it'd be worth talking to Steve Bannon. He's the host of War Room.
I don't know how hip to Steve Bannon I am, but I'm willing to hear him out.
An old friend of ours. It's his birthday today, by the way. Happy birthday, Steve.
Thank you, Tucker.
So it seems like Ireland's...
He looks less like a slob now than when he did under Trump, that's for sure.
Of course, a small country, an island in Western Europe, but it seems like this is kind of almost a metaphor for what's happening across the West. What do you make of the rioting there and the government's response to it?
Well, look, you've been to Hungary. You know, Viktor Orban has led this fight for years and has tried to get his country, the sovereignty of it, to stay away from what's happening in Germany and places like Ireland. Ireland's probably one of the worst, if not the worst, because the political class has totally sold out the people. You know, they've had, I think, 125,000 immigrants in the last year. That is the same equivalent if all of Joe Biden's 9 million illegal alien invaders here in our country all came within 1 year. That's the impact it's had on Ireland. And they're all on the public dole. There's been 100,000 Ukrainians in 18 months or 20 months since the war started. 100,000 Ukrainians all on the public dole.
Oh my God. This is absolutely disgusting.
All paid for out of the Irish budget. Now, some of that money is given by the EU, but the Irish politicians are by far the worst that are bought off by the EU. They're the biggest globalists. They've sold out the sovereignty of the Irish. And you're seeing a natural blowback, and you're really seeing it among...
Because they've really expected for these people to just sit there and take it and do what they're told. The Irish, they don't really have that history.
Working class people in the cities, Irish nationals, Irish citizens, whose family have been there for generations and generations and generations and have nothing to show for it, and also in the rural communities. So Ireland is a powder keg. And I think what you saw the other day in the response by the GAWD, the response by the authorities was immediately to go after Conor McGregor and other folks who were saying, hey, we need to address this. We need your...
I forget who said it, but they don't censor lies. Like, these people don't censor sentiment nobody shares.
Your proclamations are no longer good enough. We need to see a plan of action because there's been enough of these immigrants' attacks on citizens, including a year ago, where there was, I think, a murder of a school teacher by an immigrant. So the Irish people, I think
we had that on the AAA at some point. Somebody in the chat said 20% of Ireland's population now is foreign-born. Awful.
I've had a belly full of it, but you're seeing this is This is across the West, and it started with a mass immigration in the 60s and 70s, but really been picked up since the.
Could you imagine if this were another country? Like 20% of Dubai's population should be foreign born. 20% of Israel's population should be foreign born. Nope, just Ireland, just America, just England. Interesting how that works.
Syrian civil war and what the Germans did back in 2014.
So the Irish government is trying to replace the population of Ireland with people from the third world, obviously. But why? What's the justification for that? Ireland was never a colonial power. These are not people they once ruled coming back to the mother country. The same people have lived in Ireland for thousands of years. They have a native population and they're being replaced. Why would someone want to do that?
But remember, it's all a conspiracy theory. Unless it's happening, then if it's happening, it's a good thing.
That, do you think?
I think you're seeing it. I think you're seeing this because the political class is very tied to Brussels. The political class, and there's really no true opposition party when you think from a populist nationalist perspective. They've got a couple of small parties that are starting to grow. Of course, you got Sinn Féin, who's the political arm, or the IRA, who are more and more taking on a nationalistic bent. You've got a couple of small parties. One's kind of Trump-inspired. To combat this. But I think these people are seeing, and look, you talk about the great replacement theory and people,
theory.
People get very upset when you talk about it, but you just look at the math. This has happened across Europe. It's happened.
Well, it's not a theory, especially when they say, yes, we need to replace the natural population of an area.
In Germany, this is why Orban has been so singled out. This is why, quite frankly, Giorgia Meloni, who, was a person who we supported a lot when she got in there because the EU was going to cut Italy off for money, really backed off a lot on this immigration policy. The Germans and the people in Brussels, the party of Davos, just doesn't think the working class European population is very controllable. They think they're dangerous. They think they're the cause of these world wars in World War I and World War II. And so they've always been... they've tried to control them every way possible. Now they're using immigration. And Ireland is one of the worst examples, and that's why it's a powder keg.
It does seem like there's race hate at the bottom of it. I can't think of a better explanation. I mean, there have been wars in Africa, sort of every week for my entire life.
Yeah, there are hundreds, if not thousands, of wars that have started and stopped in the past 30 years in the Southern Hemisphere. But nobody ever talks about those.
No one's saying we've got too many Africans in Nigeria, let's replace them with Indians or something. No one would even think to say that. But poor Ireland, which didn't really do anything wrong on the world stage that I'm aware of, in 100 years, there'll be, a minority of Irish people in Ireland. That's a big change, and it's on purpose. How could anyone read that as anything but an expression of hate?
Right. Contempt for their working class, for the working class of Ireland. This is why, Tucker, I think they're cracking down so hard. You've seen what they've tried to do to Viktor Orban, who's kind of become the leader of this, the political and public intellectual leader of this. They've tried to isolate him for years, although he's been right about the Ukraine war. He's been right about what happened in Germany in 2014, about the sovereignty of his country and the sovereignty of his people. But in Ireland, they've taken it to a next level. I mean, they immediately came out, and they're prosecuting right now, I should say, investigating Conor McGregor for hate speech, for some tweets he put out. And a couple of...
You gotta love when a country investigates you for hate speech. But their evidence of hate speech is disagreeing with them. It's a lovely new world that we're crawling into. Disagree with the government? Hate speech, jail.
Statements he made. The Garda came out and they've arrested 30 people, and their whole focus is on the prosecution of the people that stood up to this and the people that, quite frankly, were angry about it. The entire focus has been going after the population and to try to cow them, to try to say, no, if you stand up to this, you stand up to the political class, if you have an opinion, right, which, you should have a free speech, but if you have an opinion, that's going to be hate speech. And that hate speech law has many years in prison associated with it. So they have cracked down not on immigration crime, not on the homelessness situation, the lawlessness, the breakdown of law and order. They have focused on the Irish people to really put their their focus on. And look who's doing it. I mean, the head of the Irish government and the chief of police.
If a government makes it a crime to criticize that government's policies, then it's not by definition a free country, is it?
I think you're absolutely correct, and I think you.
Well, that's the point. What's the thing? That's the joke. That's kind of the point. Is they don't want you to question it, because if you question it, that means you're not sure, and you should just listen and shut up.
You're seeing that here in the United States. I mean, as you know, I mean, you're hounded all the time. If you have a different opinion from the state, right, they're trying to criminalize that. And they're doing that, trying to do that every day here in the United States. It's one of the reasons that if they can't.
Did you guys see the official White House Christmas tree, whatever thing it is, fell over during the lighting? And it had to be hoisted up by, like, pulleys? It's hilarious. It's just like Joe Biden's presidency. Little sneak peek at the Friday show there. Ba-bang.
Criminalize it to actually use the courts and the police state like the FBI to come after you. They'll basically partner with big tech to either deplatform you or to other you. We're seeing this here in the United States. And this is just about the situation of the problem. Think about the solution. I keep telling people, hey, think downrange to 2025. If we're able to win and closing that win.
The show must go on is their statement. Well, that's pretty much Biden's presidency at large.
Soon may the kitty kitten come with birds and mice and some tasty nums. One day when the critters come, we'll eat till our bellies are full.
Alan for 20 just says sin. Alan, hello, sir. How are you?
Think of the issues we have to deal with, not just in the budget, but with the deportations. I mean, we have 9 million or 8 or 9 million here today just on Biden's watch. Center for
Witcher, that's currently at $55, could make you new stream boss right now, too. But it only works if you like the stream.
For Immigration Studies says we're going to have another 6 million by the time we get to the election next year. That's 14 or 15 million. I think illegal alien invaders are coming because they've gamed the asylum system. My belief is those people have to go home. They have to be returned. They have to leave our country, or we're not going to have a country. You're going to see hate speech law. You're going to see, I mean, even the discussion about this over the last couple of weeks with the people at Project 2025 and Stephen Miller and others have all of a sudden got the media saying, oh, we're setting up concentration camps. This is going to be worse than the Japanese in World War II. All of that. And that's just even mentioning the concept of it.
I heard it was International Allen Day today. Spelling was not a factor. Really?
So the issue of how it happened, and it's happening every day in the country, is bad enough. And if you stand up to it, you know, you're called a nativist, a xenophobe, a racist, you know, a domestic terrorist, a violent extremist. But if you even start to bring up what's going to happen for a solution, like in Midtown Manhattan, where you have to empty out the Roosevelt Hotel and those folks have to go home, it's going to get 10 times worse. And so I hope people that watch your show appreciate the fact, particularly maybe people that are not that political, that we're going to have, and not just turbulence, we're going to have a firestorm in this country that is going to pale in comparison, I think, to what you saw in Ireland last week.
So, I mean, if you're born in a country where your ancestors were also born and you've paid your taxes and obeyed the laws and participated in civic life, voted, volunteered, sent your kids to school, supported the schools, I think it's fair to call it your country, right? And if you're...
You would think you pay taxes, you support the country, etc., etc. You would think you can call it your country. But it's not, because you're white, so shut up.
Government, which hates you, lets in tens of millions of people illegally and then pays for their lives, it's fair to say your country's being stolen from you. I don't, is it not, or am I missing something? I don't think these are just like semantic questions. These are like deep questions of principle. I mean, isn't that fair to say?
I think it's a question of principle. I also think you gave a speech the other day that said, hey, it's just kind of common sense. People just trust your gut. People know that something's quite wrong here in the country and throughout many countries of the world. This is what you just laid out is pretty common sense. If your family's been here for many generations, you've helped to build the civic society, the underpinnings of this society by just being a good householder, by being a good citizen. If you've served this country, if you've paid the taxes, you have a stake in the country. You have something here. And obviously with, you know, Ann Coulter thinks, you know, she estimates there's 40 to 50 million illegal aliens here. We know there's 9 or 10.
She's probably not that far off. Honestly, she's probably not super far off on that one.
10 just on Biden's watch. If you just even talk about the mathematics of that, they come after you for a great replacement theory. What's obvious, just common sense of what's going on. You just look around, and you look around in the great cities of the United States right now. I mean, Chicago is basically uninhabitable. New York City Midtown is virtually uninhabitable in many areas. San Diego Airport was taken over this weekend by, 400 or 500 illegal aliens who were here, who kind of came into asylum, but nobody, people are now, blue states are shifting them around, are paying millions of dollars to send them from Chicago to other places. It's
because nobody wants them. They want them here to vote and infest red states, but they don't want them in their cities.
It's obvious what's out there. The issue is who has the courage to step forward and say, okay, we have to have a program to stop this immediately. And we also have to have another program to basically get these people out of the country. We don't have a sovereign country. Even someone as powerful as you, at the time on, I would argue, the most powerful news network, were attacked viciously. And one of the reasons you were attacked is that to come after you and to say, hey, we can even get a Tucker Carlson if he brings this topic up and try to other him, that gets everybody else quiet. It puts fear in people.
Well, the reason they're attacked is because they don't want people hearing what they're doing. And most of the time, Tucker kind of says it how it is.
They don't want to talk about it at work. They're quite, they're very concerned about talking about it on the campaign trail, in the halls of Congress. You look at this right now on the Ukrainian deal to get another $80 million for the money laundering operation in Ukraine. The Republican Senate's going to do a couple of cosmetic things on the asylum program just to try to sell it to the American people. There's no talk at all about really sealing the border right now. There's no talk about moving.
Because they have no plan on it. They have no plan. They're letting a bunch of fucking terrorists in at the border. And there's some joke about John Wickerwitcher in there, but you're going to have to do it on your own.
Moving the House of Representatives down to McAllen, Texas, and you hold the House of Representatives there until the border's sealed, till the Rio Grande Valley's safe. Anytime it's brought up, it's considered a mortal sin to the globalist, to the Uniparty. And they're going to make it only, this is one thing, and I'm sure I want to emphasize, this is only going to get worse. It is not going to get better. The Center on Immigration Studies says that we will have another 4 to 6 million illegal alien invaders under this gamed asylum law here before Election Day of next year. And
yeah, I do.
Already we know this.
It's like white noise to me. I don't even hear it.
This is costing us $500 billion of money we don't have, and money, quite frankly, is not budgeted.
Whoop.
The last public opinion poll I saw showed Congress had an approval rating at about 9%. By contrast, Muammar Gaddafi had an approval rating at 13%, and his own people dragged him in the streets and killed him.
I always forget that one exists. It's so fucking good. Just another guy, the utter refusal of our nation to enforce sovereignty because it might be mean, and that would be bad. Then the fact that there is no defense whatsoever of white people who actually built the damn thing from nothing. I despise these worthless fucks. Uh-oh. More sirens. There we go. Big sirens. I do too. Because they don't create anything. These people, they never create anything. There's nothing unique or new. Nothing coming from them. They don't innovate. Nothing. They destroy and regulate. Thank you, just another guy. I really appreciate that. Knocking us up damn near to 20% to goal.
That's why Eric Adams in New York, a sanctuary city, he wants a $5 billion bailout. And because the Republicans and the MAG are saying, no chance. You're a sanctuary city. You asked for this. You got it. You got to pay for it. The police department there's going to be cut by 20%. The education in New York is going to be cut by $1 billion. So this is getting to be a national crisis, but still you get demonized if you even bring it up. And this is what you're seeing in Ireland. I think the tension among working class people when nobody represents them, nobody can talk about it. And even
that is true. Don't do that. Snarbs, I'm still waiting for Africa to make something that isn't a... Jesus Christ. Thank you, Snarbs.
People like Conor McGregor that come out are immediately prosecuted.
Didn't you know they're working on Ebola 2.0?
Or investigated at least for hate speech.
Oh, jeez.
I feel like I'm a pretty
This new
balanced
vape is
person
shit.
emotionally, and maybe I'm flattering myself, but I don't think I'm a radical. I'm not. But look at what's going on. They're telling American citizens who were born here, have an abortion, go ahead, and end your life with euthanasia, make sure your kids are trans. They're basically doing everything they can discourage people from leading longer lives and having more kids. Here's some fentanyl. Here's some SSRIs.
Well, that's another huge thing, is that the amount of our children, and when I say ours, I mean the nation's children, who have died due to fentanyl over the past, 2 years. We can even say since the pandemic, has got to be over, if not close, to 250 million. It's got to be at least a quarter million. And they're just okay with it. COVID killed like 7,500 people, and we shut the nation down for everything. Fentanyl, 500,000, fine. Don't worry about it.
And then they're
Bigot.
telling the rest of the third world to move here. I mean, what's the message of that? I mean, the message seems really clear. Am I missing something? Why wouldn't people start to get very radical once they figure this out? And it's not hard to figure out.
I think it's very clear, and also the scale of it. On D-Day in 1944, there was 150,000 men that hit the beach that day, right? And that's looked at as the biggest military movement in American history, 150,000 men. We have almost 2 times that every month coming across the border. We have equivalent of 35 combat divisions, combat division being about 10,000 men. The scale of this is incredible. And there's no discussion about it. And obviously, they make everything, just like every Maoist revolution or every Marxist revolution, focus on breaking the nuclear family, and to make sure in this country, quite frankly, that people can't reproduce with anything like the replacement population, the number 2.1% or 2.1 children per family. And they not just welcome in, they have created a system, and they gamed an entire asylum system, which was set up to prevent this. That you just because of economic necessity are wanting a better life, which are wonderful things. And I don't blame the people coming up. If I was down in that situation, I would too, but that's not what our asylum system and immigration system was supposed to do. They purposely went and gamed that system, not just to make it easy as possible, but then to fully finance it. And if you look at the situation we are economically, Tucker, we passed $33 trillion of debt on 18 September, on the morning of the 18th of September. Right now, we're basically 60 days away from that. We're at $33.8 trillion. We will pass $34 trillion, I estimate, on the 28th of December, 100 days after.
And how much of that was to Ukraine? How much of that was to Israel?
After hitting 33, we'll pass $34 trillion. We are beyond broke. We are technically a bankruptcy right now. And we're doing this all on foreign money and just fiat currency that is created. And you see, look at Argentina. Argentina is the example of what's going to happen here in the United States. And yet we're letting in, 10 to 15 million new additional illegal alien invaders. And the corporate class wants it because they want to drive down wages at the lowest possible level. And quite frankly, they want bigger markets. They want more consumers. And so this situation is going to cause a political revolution in this country. This has been lingering out there and talked about. It was part of Trump's rise in 16. But the issue is 5 times worse today, both on the immigration part of it and the financial part of it. And so this is going to come to a head, not just in the 24 campaign. People in your audience, and particularly those under 35 years old, you're a Russian serf. You don't own anything, and you're not going to own anything. And the
black-pilled as fuck, but
financial situation in this country is only going to get worse. And the confrontation with the invasion of this nation by illegal aliens, exacerbated by radicals and globalists, is going to be. If you think the protests they've got outside of Columbus Circle today is bad, you haven't seen anything yet. 2025 and beyond, and for years, there's no magic wand that you're going to sit there and this is going to go away. People have to understand this is like Damocles' sword over the head of this nation, And it's going to take us at least a decade of tough decisions, tough people, tough but fair people to sort this out.
I mean, at some point, again, you just worry about unrest because they've kind of kept the lid on this by, threatening to arrest people, I suppose, but mostly by calling them white supremacists or anti-Semites.
Luna, I'm doing that thing where I tap the side of my nose and I point at you.
Or whatever. And at a certain point, people are going to say, well, I'm actually not those things at all. And you're not going to intimidate me anymore. And you're wrecking my country and you're attacking me for being white. And why would I put up with that? And they're going to get radical. Like, why would that not happen?
I think that also, it's also a class.
Be racist. I am a building. Don't.
The loads. In Greece, there was a hospitality custom of Xena. It's letting strangers into your home to rest and feast before the homeowner would have an audience with them. Guess how often homeowners made it out through the night? Xenophobia is a survival tactic. Really? Interesting.
This is why I think.
Thank you, Devil Fruit Zero. I appreciate that.
You see many Hispanic men and many African American men now coming to the MAGA movement or the America First movement. One of the things that hasn't worked, they have demonized Trump and demonized this movement, is that we're trying to take democracy away. You're a fascist. I'm a fascist. We're the leaders of a new fascist program.
Trying to take democracy
when people
away
look at
by
themselves
listening
and
to
go,
what
hey,
the population wants.
Yeah, well, that's the thing, is if you want something the government doesn't, that is fascism. Duh.
Sorry, excuse me.
When people look at it, they say, hey, I'm not a bad person, and I'm not asking for something that's terribly aggressive. I just want my community to be my community. I don't want to be flooded with illegal aliens that are taking jobs, causing crime, adding to homelessness, and quite frankly, we can't pay for them. We can't pay for their education. We can't pay for their health care. We can't pay for their housing. We can't pay for the stipend and the phones. We can't do it. And people look and say,
no, they can do it. They need to take the money out of their own pocket, not mine.
hey, they're calling me a fascist every day. They're calling Tucker Carlson and Donald Trump and Steve Bannon and many, many others leaders of a fascist movement. Well, I don't feel like a fascist. I feel like it's common sense. I think that's the power of your speech the other day. You said, hey, just look around. Just trust your gut. Just look around and see. Something feels very wrong, feels very different in America. And if you even go back a few years ago to the debates we used to have in Obama's first term, they almost seemed kind of naive. They seem very, Obamacare, and the scale of the problem's gone up. The complexity of the problem's gone up. And the viciousness of, I think, it's like the Bourbon aristocrats in pre-revolutionary France. They said, they didn't know anything, and they did.
3 sets of 10 fast or 5 sets of 10 fast? Do you mean are both fast?
Didn't learn anything, right? That's the kind of uniparty public intellectual and the elites we have. They're dug in, and I don't think it's working. I think you're seeing.
If this is in the middle of a workout, I might do 3 sets of 10.
Seeing that in the polling numbers. I also think you're seeing it in just
slower though.
Culture. There's a change of people coming to our side, say, yes, we should put America first, and it's important.
Do them fast, but not like wah, 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 rah, 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 kind of thing. Like extend.
We should put American citizens first, and I think that's the big tectonic plate shift we're seeing. But man, it's going to be quite a fight for the next, 5 or 10 years. It's going to take that long to work through this.
Last question. You've mentioned Conor McGregor a couple of times. So he's, of course, the MMA fighter. He's been very vocal on social media about what's happening in Ireland. He seems to be alluding to his getting into politics, taking over.
That would be interesting to see.
For Ireland. How would you assess that? What do you think of him and what he's saying?
I think I'd call him, I put it up on social media. I think he's an Irish patriot. Look, he's got some rough edges. I'm Irish. Right. He's got some rough edges, but I think people in times of turmoil look to people who are fighters. I think it was Churchill that said courage is the most important of all the virtues because it's on virtue that it's on courage that all the other virtues rest. I think you're seeing, he didn't have to do this. By being so vocal, he put himself out there as a target, just like you. Once you're out there, if you step forward and say, hey, this is not right, This is what we have to do. We have to think about the country, and we have to think about the country's citizens first. All of a sudden, you're a target. He could have a great life. He's launched.
Well, you should know better than to try to think about somebody else other than the immigrants they want to bring in. What, do you want to think about you? You want to think about your family's safety? What, are you out of your mind?
In pubs, he's an internationally known guy. It's like Trump. You could go do other things. You don't need this. He's doing this, I think, for his great love of Ireland and the Irish people. And like I said, he's got some rough edges. But remember, in what I call a fourth turning in turbulent times, you're going to have the Donald Trumps of the world step forward. You're going to have the Conor McGregors. Those are the people that are going to come through in times of turmoil. These are not era where people that have worked in the state legislature and just punched all their tickets are really, I think, what people are looking for. They're looking for people that are courageous, and we'll have to see Conor McGregor. Look, they're going to come after Conor McGregor. I mean, hard. They're going to do the hate speech thing. I think they're also going to limit the ability of people to go in Ireland like they've tried to do in England, because I think the political class there is petrified about some new party coming up that's more populist nationalist. We've seen it in you've seen it all over the world. You've gone and interviewed people from Spain to Brazil to Argentina. It's interesting that the biggest lid they put on this is in Great Britain and in Ireland. Remember, the Tories are worse. The Tories are 10 times worse than establishment Republicans. You still don't have, even with Nigel, you still don't have a populist nationalist party that's really risen as an alternative.
Because it won't. Because populist nationalism is not the fervent racist shitbags that the people think they are. So they're not allowed to have any power because they will resonate with most people.
In Ireland, they will do that. Corrupt political class will do anything Brussels wants, anything Davos wants, to make sure that there's no chance for that party to come up. And the first thing they'll do, they'll attack national figures like Conor McGregor that say, hey, we got to really start putting the Irish people first.
Yeah. They hate themselves so much. It's just remarkable to watch it. Steve Bannon, again, happy birthday.
I am so over the shibboleth of nations are built on immigrants. No, they're not. Nations are built on citizens. That's what they should be. That's what they are. Nations are not built on somebody who's a 23-year-old man from another country who's coming over for tax benefits. That's not a nation. And I think we're all pretty fucking sick of it. I think that's the only Tucker we have today. Oh, no. This one's short. Let's take a look.
Disclosure Act of 20. Earlier this year, Congress passed something called the...
Before we get into it, though, guys, would you please smash that like button, share it out on your socials, and should you feel so inclined, hit up that Streamlabs listed down below. We have the Black Friday sale going on still on The Witcher at half off, the Big Wick Energy at half off, the Vegito versus Zamasu half off, and the Tucker Carlson talking about Drunken Uncle half off. So that would be 55 for The Witcher, 45 for Big Wick Energy, 250 for Tucker Carlson talking about Drunkle, and 100 for the Vegito Zamasu. And I cannot remember the last time I saw the Vegito Zamasu. It's so fucking sexy.
UAP Disclosure Act of 2023.
And just another guy as well within striking distance.
The law requires the U.S. government to tell the public what it knows about the countless unidentified flying objects that have been spotted in the skies above Earth.
Oh, UFO talk. Oh, boy.
Over the past 3,000 years. It's designed to be, and it very well could be, a transformative piece of legislation. And it comes at a time when we can finally say with confidence that the most unlikely sounding theories about UFOs are actually true. Yes, these things are real. They're not all weather balloons. They're not experimental aircraft from this or any other country. Whatever they are not of human origin, nor do they behave according to the laws of known physics. And yes, the US government currently has physical evidence that they exist. That means wreckage of the craft as well as the bodies of the beings that flew them. Amazingly, all of this is true. We know that from the detailed testimony, much of it under oath, from several high-level whistleblowers, including longtime Intel officers Lou Elizondo and Dave Grush, both of whom we've talked to. But there have been many about...
Well, that's the thing, Zobles, is I don't think the government proper has stated that it was aliens. Just whistleblowers have come out and testified that it was.
10 so far. So the question is, now that the UAP Disclosure Act has passed, when can the rest of us see the information that we paid for and in fact own? Well, not so fast, it turns out. One of the great secrets of Washington, known to everyone inside Washington, is that many of the most powerful members of Congress do not work for their constituents, much less for the rest of us, for the country at large. They are instead puppets of the most secretive federal agencies. They are controlled effectively by the permanent bureaucracy, including through bribery and blackmail. 2 such members happen to be especially powerful this term.
That is possible, Frankenbeans, that is possible.
They are Congressman Mike Rogers of Alabama, who is the chairman of the House Armed Services Committee, and Congressman Mike Turner of Ohio, who is chairman of the House Intel Committee. Both of these men have been instructed to violate, in letter and in spirit, federal law, and to hide the truth about UFOs from the American public. They're working to do that right now. It is infuriating to watch this. But if you think about it for a second, it's also baffling. Why is this happening? Federal agencies have been lying about UFOs for more than 80 years. This has been a coordinated effort. It is both highly time-consuming and very expensive. Many Americans have been hurt in the process. But why? What's the point of this? Wouldn't it be a lot easier just to release the facts? Now, the conventional explanation for why they haven't been released is that the US government is lying about UFOs because the truth about UFOs is too scary to reveal, that they're real, and our leaders wouldn't want to panic the population. But that's not true. In fact, it's ridiculous. Wouldn't want to terrify the population?
Honestly, I think the main reason they don't say for a fact that UFOs are real is that it would literally, not figuratively, destroy the fundamental religious population, and one sect of them seems to get pretty ballistic. Maybe their personalities are explosives. Government says aliens are real. Cool, don't really care. Where's the Epstein client list? Also true.
Terrifying the population is what our government does best and most avidly. Officials regularly gin up irrational fears about COVID or white supremacy or Vladimir Putin or a dozen other topics as part of a pretty obvious control strategy. It's not like these people mind scaring you. They want to scare you, and they do it every day. So why would they lie about UFOs? Well, because they're covering up a crime, obviously, and it's their crime. Someday we'll discover what that crime is. But in the meantime, here are a few questions that honest lawmakers ought to be asking. Have government agencies used tax dollars to procure advanced non-human technology? If they have, where exactly is that technology now? Has it been used for profit? How exactly has the American public benefited from that technology? And then this question, the most pressing of all. Has the U.S. government communicated directly with the beings that piloted these craft?
Probably not.
Have American officials ever entered into any sort of agreement with them? And if so, what are the terms of that agreement? These are not random questions. They are informed questions. And at this point, Americans have a moral right to know the answers. One member of Congress who might be willing to ask those questions is Congressman Tim Burchett. He's a Republican from Knoxville. Burchett is one of the very few lawmakers in Washington who seems genuinely outraged by the cover-up in progress. Here he is the other day responding to it.
And I was told by leadership that it was blocked by the intelligence community, not the intelligence committee, but the intelligence community. And that is a very chilling effect. If someone can reach through the veil of government and pierce it to the point of we do not have access to something, you got to start asking yourself who the hell's in control. And
that's a damn good question.
And I think it'd be wise for you all to start looking at some financial disclosures of some of those corporations, some of the people who do the stonewalling in this town. I want you to think about this. Think about this, that something with the capabilities of traveling light years, not showing a heat signature, and the energy capabilities of that, That would put the Pentagon out of business. We wouldn't be fighting these worthless wars overseas over oil.
And these are all pretty decent points too, by the way.
American boys and girls wouldn't be dying. It would put the war pigs out of business, and they'd have to go somewhere else, and I'm all for that.
Congressman Tim Burchett of Tennessee joins us
I like what he's saying.
now. Congressman, thanks so much for coming on. So I think a lot of that clip speaks for itself, but you are saying effectively, as I hear you, if unelected bureaucrats and defense contractors can shut down a federal law, then it's not really a democracy, then is it?
No, it's not, and you're correct. They have been able to do that through their power and influence.
I'm really struck. There is some pushback against this. I think you've been the most visible and by far the most articulate. But there are some people who are bothered by this, but I've heard almost no discussion about why it's happening in the first place. Why the effort, the enormous effort to suborn the members of Congress, the committee chairman I mentioned, and the new Speaker of the House.
I 100% think it's the religious thing. They don't want a religious like meltdown, especially considering, you know, the one splody one.
And the Senate minority leader rather. Why? Why go to the effort to hide information that most Americans think they already know and have accepted?
I think it's power, influence, corruption, money, all the things, you know, that run Washington. Our Pentagon just recently failed their 6th audit in a row.
Fuck me.
They publicly
Yes, we should keep believing the people who fail every single audit that they have because they're in charge and we're just the plebs.
disclosed that over half their assets are unaccounted for. Now, those assets...
What if the aliens are Christians? Well, that's going to make the splody people really mad.
Are, you know, their automobiles, their firearms, their, I guess, personnel, everything. 50%. Could you imagine anything else? And yet we've rewarded them with billions more this year for their incredible effort, and they're bragging about how well they're doing now. And so you figure, you know, a compartmentalized department like the Pentagon, who has these untold billion-dollar contracts with our defense contractors.
6 times we've oopsied $3 trillion. 6 times.
Who want us in every dadgum war, who want us in Ukraine, who want us in everything, everywhere in the world, but
which is about a quarter of our debt, by the way.
Because they'll be selling more missile defense systems and things like that. You imagine that there's probably, I would say, a half a dozen of those top-level contractors and these corporations, multinational, and then we fund them, and we don't know where the money's going, and yet
that's true, Mystic Fox. It's very true.
There's cost overruns, and we keep rewarding them.
Oh man, dude, I cannot wait to do fucking Lethal Company Friday night. I cannot wait.
With more. So obviously, if they were in possession of some of this material, or a craft, or what have you, the reverse engineering possibilities would be unlimited, and they don't want to. You know, they can control the ebbs and flows of technology, and they're on the cutting edge of it, and they don't want us out of war because and imagine too, as I've stated before, if you had this energy source that didn't show a heat trail that could heat our homes, cool our homes in the summer, heat our homes in the winter. I mean, we'd be the Pentagon will be out of business. I think I called them war pigs, but I meant to say war pimps, I believe is the
I mean, they both work well. The sentiment was not lost, sir.
Appropriate term.
I think both fit.
Yeah, I do too. I get a lot of controversy. I had a call from a high-ranking official, told me one time that I probably needed to get bodies around me pretty soon after making those statements, and I said, well, I'm in Tennessee. I live in Tennessee. Anybody's out of place there, they'll know it pretty quick. But in all truthfulness, these groups, you know, and they own these politicians, you know, whether through the honeypot or just hiring family members or what have you. And I don't have any firsthand knowledge of that going on with any of those. But that seems to be what's done in the past, and it's all done legally. Most of it is now, and so you've got these situations, and they don't want to change it. And they've got somebody's ear.
Because they have a vested interest in not changing it. You think the military-industrial complex wants to stop getting money?
I had an old-time lobbyist. They called him the Gold.
Do you think the military-industrial complex wants people watching John Wick and Witchers.
Goose, when I was in the state legislature, he was the liquor lobbyist, and he'd smoke that big cigar, and he'd say, Burchett, he said, I don't need the governor, I don't need the House, the Senate, I just need one committee chairman. And, you know, and that's the way it works. And unfortunately, we allow it to work when less than 20% of the population goes to the polls.
The stakes in this particular story seem pretty high, since the government has evidence that we're not alone in the universe, that there is some form of intelligent life or something that is creating these crafts. They're buzzing the Earth. We don't know if they're from outer space, if they're spiritual beings.
That's something nobody ever considered. What if these are angels?
We just don't know the answer. But the government does know, but they're lying about it because why? And so does it occur that maybe the billions of unaccounted Pentagon funds that you mentioned that turn up in every accounting process, that maybe that they're not lost through incompetence, maybe those are attached to programs that we're not allowed to know about?
I completely think it's intentional, Tucker. You're exactly right, as usual. You know, they've been lying about it since 1947. And then all of a sudden, we're going to pass legislation, and they're going to say, oh, well, we're going to come out and tell you the truth. I mean, this, you know, Schumer's thing, everybody's on me because I'm not really sure about the Schumer amendment, because it basically is modeled after
sure about the Schumer amendment.
The Kennedy assassination files, and here
that's true, Luna.
we are 60 years later, and we haven't done that. I guess it's a good step forward, but the reality is we're going to tell them to tell us the truth after they've been lying to us, and they've been funding these programs. Lou Elizondo, for instance, he's the program that he was involved with for the longest period of time. They said it didn't exist, yet he shows up and he's got a department that works for him. And so, you know, this thing has just been going on, like I said, at least since 1947. And we know it's been going on maybe before then at some point. It's a worldwide phenomena. We have some of the best pilots, not in East Tennessee, the best pilots in the world, that are telling me their crafts have been buzzed by this. You know, and I've had members of Congress.
This doesn't take any effort for me to believe, though. That's the fucking crazy part.
Congress say, Burchett, you know, we need to be on something important. Well, let me ask you, what's more important than something in our airspace buzzing $50, $60 million aircraft, putting American pilots at risk, and that we don't know who it is or what it is?
The war in Ukraine, duh.
Is. And then we have a government that claims they don't exist, and now all of a sudden, people like yourself have brought this issue to the forefront over.
Do you know Joe Biden is the most voted for president in history? Why are you asking stupid questions, man?
Half the American public believes that they're out there, and now the Pentagon smells dollars, is what I think it is. That's why they're putting all this out. And each department, NASA and everybody else, has their little pamphlets out now of you know, NASA's, I think it said something about we want to do robust research. Well, you know what robust research means. They want more of your tax dollars. I just want them to come forward with the truthful information that they've been hiding from us for decades.
Do we possess this technology or don't we? And if we do, where is it? And there have been, as noted earlier, a number of pretty ominous indications over the years from apparently informed people that the U.S. government has been in direct contact with these forces, whatever they are, the people who created and flew these objects, whatever they are. But there has been direct dialogue between the U.S. government, maybe other governments, and these entities. Are you aware of that? Has anyone even asked that?
I can honestly believe it.
That question to, say, the President of the United States or someone else who could answer it?
I'm aware of it, and I've talked to people about it, but it's just another rabbit hole I go down. And I have to be real careful, Tucker, to be honest with you, because you would not believe the amount of research and things I've gotten poured on me from all over the world. People send me books and photographs and things, and of course, a lot of that is, I think it's fake, because they're trying to get me to embarrass me further, I guess, in this issue, but I'm not biting on all of it. I don't usually put any of it out, actually, just because, you know, I don't know if any of it's truthful, or if it's a government entity putting this garbage out to discredit, you know, this community or what have you. But it's a complete it shows the mistrust the public has of our government, and for good reason.
Yeah, it's been well earned. So where is this legislation going? I mean, will there be disclosure short term? Will these two committee chairmen, the Speaker of the House, Mitch McConnell, will they shut it down?
Well, the Senate passed it. the amendment to the National Defense Authorization Act, but it hasn't been signed into law yet. The House is in negotiations, from what I understand, over this amendment. I'll be talking to the Speaker today or tomorrow about this amendment and just telling him how important it is to this community and transparency. That's really all I want is transparency. Where we're spending all this money on something, and where's it going, and why do they not trust the American public? Those are the things that people need to ask. You can, as I said at the hearing, I said, we're not going to bring in a UFO, we're not going to bring in little green men, but what we want is transparency. And
well, a lot of it is just media, movies, and shit like that making aliens out to be something they are most likely not.
Fortunately, we don't have much of that in the United States Congress because oh, look, there's another shiny object over here. They'll misdirect us over here. They'll misdirect us over there. But I believe this community is very, very in tune to what's going on and the cover-up that's been going on.
Yeah. I mean, if this is real, and it clearly is real, I mean, 10 people have come forward with security clearances to say, yes, it's real.
Well, the interesting thing about that was, you said 10, and that kind of jogged my memory. We asked more than 10 people to testify before our committee, and several of them were scared off. They were told by their overlords or whoever at the Pentagon that no, they could not come speak. And then the 3 that we got were dynamite, obviously, because that really lit the fuse. But there's several more out there, and several more have come forward. I was sent a text as I was in here getting ready to come on your show from somebody else. But again, I have to be real careful with those because they get up there and embarrass the whole community, then we're 2 steps back.
Yeah, that's fair.
That's exactly right. And I think they've salted disinformation, lies throughout.
Well, that
this
also takes no effort for me to believe that they would purposely spread misinformation on the subject just to discredit people. That 100% seems like something they would do.
In order to discredit the people who tell it. Last question. You come out with a statement that we played at the beginning of this interview, pretty compelling, kind of hard to see what the counter argument is. What do your fellow members of Congress say to you about that? And what is the excuse that they give you to your face for not disclosing this information to the public?
Well, as I've stated many times, there's several members have come forward to me, and some of them fairly prominent in both parties, that have actually seen something as a child or in the military or other things. I think now that their phone lines have been lit up, because the UFO community, if one thing, they are relentless, and they call and they're informed. And
see, that's believable. The people who believe in this shit really believe in it. That's not shocking at all.
They call and some of them actually, they've called my office in support of me, and I always tell them, I appreciate it, but I'm good. Y'all need to get on with your own congressmen or your senators. And so they've made a great effort of that. And I believe now at Congress, even if they don't believe it, they're going to start looking into it because they know this group is well versed. And I'm glad of it because the thing that happened to me was they started this stuff and sure enough I get home and somebody's running a poll against me to figure out my weaknesses, and who do you think's doing that? So and I fully expect this to be an issue on the ballot next time. I mean, me being on the ballot as well, that would be they're going to be running that against me. But I don't think they're going to get anywhere with it because I think they're still driving around in their 72 Vegas and their blue leisure suits with their zip-up dingo boots listening to an 8-track tape player. I think they're a little bit behind the times right now.
Who do you think, I'm interested, who do you think did that? Who do you think's coming after your seat for your willingness to talk about this?
I think it's probably one of 3 people. I don't know, maybe any of those people that you mentioned, and there's some that there's others too. I mean, you figure they've got unlimited funds, and that's what scares me about the whole.
They more or less do have unlimited funds, honestly.
They have unlimited funds where they could literally buy a seat in Congress, which I know that'd be naive of me to think that that's never happened in the past, but in Tennessee we are fairly independent people, and that bothers me a great deal.
Well, it's just interesting, I mean, that they're willing to go to that effort. You'd think they say, oh, Burchett, he's crazy, he believes in UFOs. But they're very threatened by this, which tells you that they've got something to hide that implicates them. That's what I'm learning.
Absolutely. They're threatened because people like Tucker Carlson are adding an air of legitimacy to this thing. and they know that however millions of viewers that you have are watching this, and they're scratching their head, and then they're going home to their barbershops, and some guy who was in the Navy, who was on an aircraft carrier and saw something, and was told by when they got back to port that some men in some suits said, "Hey, you didn't see anything. This is national security. You ever bring this up, you're going to the federal penitentiary and break rocks for the rest of your life." You know, those stories are coming out daily, and it's happening more and more. And so I think they're taking a step back now.
It was Alex Trebek and Jesse Ventura yelling at these guys. Super bonus points to whoever gets that.
Well, I appreciate your bravery very much, Congressman Tim Burchett of Knoxville, Tennessee. Great to see you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Tucker. It's been a great honor. Thank you, brother.
That was a pretty dope little interview. All right, now I want to switch gears a little bit, should my computer allow me to do so. Now, I've seen Ranting Monkey tweet about this cat before, so I just want to take a little bitty look. Just a little bitty look at what this is. So, guys, if you are willing to indulge me, please smash that like button. Please share it out on... That's exactly what I was worried about. On your social media. And should you feel so inclined, last day here for all the regular donos. After today, no more Witchers here. No more John Wicks here. Nothing. It's going to be Christmas. Okay, so I just want to look at some of the videos. Honestly, but look at this. Ha 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 ha. A 15-foot tall balloon of George Santos is currently sitting outside of Congress, as Santos may be expelled this week. This is hilarious. And it looks just like him. Santos must be removed from the House. His lies cannot be overlooked. Thank you. Thank you so much, J.K. Nicely done. And there's more pictures of the balloon that he just put up a picture of. No more Shreks? Maybe. There might be one or two that carry over. If Biden wins 2024, democracy will be protected. People's health care will be safe. Reproductive rights will be protected, and more. If Trump wins, he'll be a dictator. He'll kick out 40 million people of their health care, and he will further restrict reproductive rights, and more. And more. And more. The choice for 2024 is clear. This is the same thing. This is the same tweet. This isn't complicated. Biden 2024. Guys, it's not complicated. You just do what they say. You just do what they tell you. Trump has called for the termination of Obamacare, which would kick 40 million Americans off of their health care. Same tweet. Breaking, President Biden has brokered a deal to further extend the ceasefire, between Israel and Hamas. Qatar negotiated this deal. Nice work, community notes. Nice work. We're going to rate that one. Yes. High quality source, easy to understand, directly addresses claims. Next. Oh, we have a video. Oh, we got a video. Oh my God, why does he sound like that? This is the first time I think I have seen one of his videos before. I lied. But guys, if you want to yeet the fake woke, you know exactly how to do it.
All right, here's the thing about the 2024 presidential election, and this is for everyone.
They always have lisp. Why do they all have lisp? So much lisp.
Who's saying that they're not going to vote for Joe Biden. Let's just say, hypothetically, Donald Trump wins the election. He gets inaugurated, he's back in the Oval Office, and he's president again. And then Trump starts to do all these terrible things, which he said he was going to do, like taking reproductive rights away from women, even more so, rounding up immigrants in camps and deporting them, kicking people off of their health care. And on top of this, he doesn't give a damn as to what's happening in the Middle East.
He doesn't give a damn. He doesn't give a damn.
And then all of these people who didn't vote for Joe Biden will be looking on saying, wow, this is terrible. What Donald Trump is doing to this country is awful. Who could have possibly seen this coming? We did. We all saw it coming.
We did. We thought. We thought coming. President Biden inspires hope. Trump inspires fear. Biden preaches unity. Trump preaches division. Biden cares about every American. Trump cares about himself. Biden is a leader. Trump is an embarrassment. How is this person like this? Look at this amazing photo. Is that photoshopped? Look at this amazing photo. People were incredibly excited to see Joe Biden as he walked around Nantucket today. The joy on their faces says it all. I just want somebody to explain to me how Biden is a good president without bringing up Trump. That's all I want. I want someone to explain that to me. How was Biden a good president without bringing up Trump?
Israel and Hamas came to an agreement that was brokered by the United States for
No, it wasn't. It was Qatar.
a ceasefire to allow for hostages to be
he's paid quite well. I don't know, man. How well can he be paid to say this?
given back. Now, at the Israeli cabinet meeting where this deal was approved, the Prime Minister of Israel literally said that this deal would not be happening without President Biden's help. Via a foreign policy reporter at Axios,
is that something he actually said? Because I fucking doubt it.
They said Netanyahu, the prime minister, said at the top of the cabinet meeting that he spoke in recent days with President Biden and asked him to intervene in order to improve the hostage deal. Quote, and it was improved so that it will include more hostages for a lower cost. President Biden helped, and I thank him. So literally, the prime minister of Israel, who's in these negotiations, is like, yeah, the United States helped and President Biden intervened.
Yeah, but Qatar brokered it
and got a better deal. Now, this is something that President Biden and the United States have been working on for weeks now, but it seems that Biden and America's involvement was upped recently, and because of that involvement, we got a better deal. Now, that's great news, and I think that every single American should be happy about this. This is by far the biggest diplomatic breakthrough since this conflict began, and because of President Biden and the United States, more innocent.
He gets paid very well. And I'm getting paid jack shit just to disagree with him. I love it. Uh-oh. I think I spoke too soon. All right, there we go. Saying he's not getting paid to mention Qatar, so it doesn't matter. That's true. That's very true. Let's see, what else do we got?
You're going to have a lot of
why do they all look like this?
explaining to do. You're going to have to explain to millions of women across the country why there's a national abortion ban and they no longer have the constitutional fundamental right to an abortion. You're going to
They never did. They never did have the constitutional right to an abortion.
have to come to me and explain to me why the nearly $1 trillion
Is that supposed to be intimidating? You're going to have to come explain it to me.
we've invested in climate change over the last 3 years for my future is gone, wiped away just like that. We're investing billions of dollars into
What did it do? What did the $1 trillion invested into climate change do?
fossil fuels because we no longer believe in climate change. You're going to have to explain to your friends and your family why there's mass deportation camps set up around the country.
Okay, because they don't belong here. I'll gladly explain that.
Why we're mass deporting immigrants. You're going to have to explain to everybody.
You're not mass deporting immigrants. Immigrants are citizens. We're mass deporting illegal aliens.
Why the Trump administration is appointing federal judges to make sure he can overturn any election he wants. You're going to
Because that's what administrations do. They appoint judges.
have to explain why the DOJ, the FBI, and the Department of Education are all gone, gutted. Can you do that? You're going to take all the progress we've made over the last 3 years, LGBTQ plus rights, gun control, climate change, abortion, all that, gone.
Can you tell me what rights got rolled back under Trump besides gun rights?
Instantaneously. I do not understand the concept of a no vote. It's clear to me. Look, even if you don't like Joe Biden that much, that's fine. This is what I'd say to you. You can vote for the old guy with a stutter, or you can vote for the old guy with 91 felonies.
It's not a stutter. It's not an old guy with a stutter. It's an old guy who is literally demented.
Who sexually abuses women, who commits fraud, and wants to overturn elections. That's my message to you.
Oh my God. What a fucking wacko. Chris Moore.
Straight up, if you don't vote for Biden.
Straight up, dude. Straight up. Straight up, dog. Straight up. Hey, what else we got? Oh, we got another
People
one.
say
Straight up, dog.
that they're not going to vote for Joe Biden because of what's happening in the Middle East or
Didn't we just have this one? Is he reposting the same video over and over? How often is he paid to do this? So we're going into the... Oh, here's
People over at Wall Street are addicted to our money. Think about it this way.
How about the people at fucking DC?
Credit cards are the cigarettes of Wall Street, and hidden credit card swipe fees are the nicotine. They love credit cards because they benefit from hidden swipe fees. Now, if you didn't know, we pay swipe fees every single time we buy something in stores or online.
Yeah, that's a thing by the processor.
Hardworking Americans paid an average of $1,000 in swipe fees last year, which is 9 times more than the Europeans. We actually pay some of the highest swipe fees in the entire world.
Because they're allowed to. I'm not agreeing with it. I think that, and I've been seeing it everywhere lately, actually. It's funny that this is brought up now, because I saw it at a pizza joint I go to. They must have bumped the swipe fee up, because they put out a sign saying if you pay with a card, you now have to pay 4% extra.
World. So look, I think we can all agree that this is wrong. So tell your member of Congress and other elected officials that it's time to end Wall Street's addiction to our money and to support credit card swipe fee reform. It really is time for the folks over at Wall Street to stop stealing from the people who continue to bail them out. Listen, folks, the people over at Wall Street are
Jesus. How does this guy walk around like this every day?
I like people that weren't captured.
Okay, anti-Trump. Okay, anti-Trump, right?
Donald Trump's attacks on President Biden's age are starting to backfire on him badly. Because Donald Trump's
I mean, yeah, Trump is just a couple years younger than Biden, but he's not a fucking tottering lunatic.
Recent verbal slips and memory loss are weakening his attacks on President Biden's age, which, by the way, was never a valid attack. For example,
it's a valid attack on both of them.
On Sunday in Sioux City, Iowa, Trump wrongly thanked supporters of Sioux Falls, a South Dakota town about 75 miles away.
How many times has Biden done this?
He didn't even know what city he was in, folks. And then someone had to come on stage and correct him. In recent weeks, Trump has also told his supporters not to vote and claimed to have defeated President Barack Obama in an election, even though he never ran against him. He praised the collective intellect of an Iranian-backed militant group that has been an enemy of both Israel and the United States, and repeatedly mispronounced the name of an armed group that rules Gaza. And even DeSantis started attacking Donald Trump for this. And reminder, Donald Trump is only 3 years younger than President Biden.
Okay, so this dude is hyper pro-Trump and very anti-Biden. No, I'm sorry, hyper pro-Biden, anti-Trump. I want to see what this one's about. I don't have anything for the rest of the show, so this is about it. Maybe like 10 minutes of this shit. Call it.
And in 2024, you're going to have a lot of explaining to do.
Is that it? You got ratioed to fuck on that one.
Biden in 2024, you're going to have a lot of explaining.
Okay, same video over again. That's fine. Two young men enjoying each other's company. This dude thinks he looks fly as shit. Did Sin catch Biden? Brady, yeah, I caught it.
Once again, one of the worst videos of Donald Trump I've seen in a long time.
We had no terror during my administration. The only terror we had was Nancy Pelosi, who's a crazed lunatic.
That's called a joke.
She's a
Why are you making me defend this man?
lunatic. She is a crazed lunatic. What the hell was going on with her husband? Let's not ask. Let's not ask.
I mean, I know. You know.
I'll withdraw that statement. By the way, she's got a wall around her house. Obviously, in that case, it didn't work very well, did it? It didn't work.
As I pointed out last time, he's referring to Nancy Pelosi's husband, who was beat over the head with a hammer and almost killed when somebody broke into their home.
Without pants on. Both of them without pants on.
And Donald Trump thinks it's funny to make fun of that at a campaign rally.
Yes, it is funny to make fun of a gay sex thing gone wrong.
And on live TV. Why? Because he's a bad person. He's a bad guy.
So they're really just saying it out loud. He's a bad person. I don't like him. Don't vote for him. You shouldn't either.
He's a narcissistic piece of garbage, period, end of story. I just don't get how you can support a man like that. Just from a human being perspective, bad person. Genuinely a bad dude.
Well, I'm a bad dude too. What about it? What about it?
Core, period. The people.
Well, these guys do a podcast together.
It's the party of law and order, but it's not. Everything about it, as it stands right now, is.
Is the whole podcast going, I fucking hate Democrats, don't you? I fucking hate Republicans, don't you? Yeah, I hate Republicans too, don't you? Yeah, Republicans suck, man. Isn't that Trump bad guy? Yeah, Trump is a bad guy. Biden's so much better. That's true. All of these people are sellouts. They're afraid Trump will win because it might be exposed for the shitheads that they are. True.
Anti-American to...
You did it again, so dude, stop with the Biden brain. I'm hungry.
Its core, period. The people of Ohio by 500,000 votes say...
That's a good question. Have these kids ever shaved?
We want abortion to be enshrined in the state constitution, and Ohio Republicans spit in the face of Ohio voters and say, no, we don't want to do that.
Well, that's what happens.
That's anti-American to its core. It's not patriotic. It's not democratic. It's none of that. So I think that's an important thing to remember.
It's a polyword convention in this bitch, boy.
Remember, going toward 2024, that even, you know, as I said on my TikTok area, and I'd be curious what you think about this. We're talking about razor-thin margins in 2024, hypothetically, as it stands right now. Even if you're not a Democrat like us, I don't see how someone in good conscience can vote for the Republican Party as it stands right now. Like, even if you're, I talked to someone about this in person the other day, even if you are a conservative to its core, you don't agree with Democrats at all, this party is rotten to its core. It's anti-American. In good conscience, you just...
The Republicans are bad, aren't they, guys? Republicans are really bad. Democrats are good, though, the guys, aren't they? Yeah, Democrats are really good.
Credit card, debit card, we pay a swipe fee. Swipe fees are up.
They both must have got the same fucking script.
Up over 50% since COVID started. They cost the average American household $1,000 a year, which is 9 times.
Household.
Is what the average European pays. It's a junk fee. It's like when you get concert tickets.
Democracy is when I get my way. Fascism is when I don't get my way. That's true. That's very true. How much is a swipe fee? It's usually like 1.6%.
Or buy a room for a hotel and there's all these extra fees. It's literally America's biggest junk fee, a swipe fee. And of course, this comes while Wall Street and these huge banks are literally posting record profits. Record profits. Banks are making 160.
But now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't think the bank itself takes the swipe fee. I think the processor takes the swipe fee. The Stripe or whoever is the processor. You know, the debit card machine. Yeah, could just pay cash and avoid it. Could just pay cash. But they don't like cash because the government can't control cash. So they're just not happy with anything. Like, we're at 20% to goal. I think 20% to goal is great.
$160 billion a year off this. $160 billion. Do me a favor, call your local congressman and say this needs to stop. This is hurting American families and that they need to support credit card swipe fee reform. Please.
That's true, Drunkle. The people who live in the credit card machine take the money. That's a fact.
Election night in America, what happened? A blue wave, a huge blue wave. We enshrined abortion rights in Ohio. We won the House and the Senate in Virginia protecting abortion rights. We re-elected a blue governor in Kentucky, winning key Trump districts, flipping them. We legalized weed in Ohio. And once again in Virginia, we told Glenn Youngkin...
Who is we?
Respectfully, go yourself, because Republicans need to figure this out. You around, you find out. Glenn Youngkin and Virginia Republicans were like, if we win, we're signing an abortion ban. No. Just know, you around, you find out. And the poll...
They hate fuck around and find out when it's somebody who actually finds out. Sure, we could have the conversation that a person didn't get voted for because their policies were shit. I'm all for it. I agree, actually. But that goes two ways.
Polls can all say one thing, but polls don't vote. People do. And we will repeat this again in 2024. Everyone will talk the nonsense, but in 2024, Gen Z and young people will show up and will elect Democrats because we win on all these issues. Abortion, win. Climate change, win. Democracy, win. LGBTQ plus rights, win. Win, 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 win.
God, this guy's got like the lowest testosterone I've ever seen. Oh my God. And if not, just to illustrate the point. Like I could hear this picture. If I see somebody acting like that at a gas station, I'm calling the cops. I think we need to get a little high testosterone before we get the fuck out of here. A Witcher or a Bigwig energy would do the trick. And it's the last time we're going to see any wicks for at least a month.
Joe Biden's accomplishments in 60 seconds. The American Rescue Plan was $1.9 trillion, and the reason Americans got $1,400 stimulus checks. This bill also initially cut child poverty in half. It is seen as being responsible
Initially, then the people who got the checks blew it immediately.
for our economic recovery. Moving on, Joe Biden invested $1.2 trillion in revitalizing our infrastructure. This all goes to roads,
Really? Because my roads are more shit now than they ever have been.
bridges, more access to broadband internet, and was a much-needed investment in America.
Broadband internet.
Joe Biden has invested more money than any president in U.S. history on climate change, with the goal to cut emissions in half in
Cut emissions. Cut emissions.
2030 compared to 2005. He also rejoined the Paris Climate Accord. Joe Biden signed an executive order on gun control, strengthening background checks, and promoting safe firearm storage.
So, an executive order on nothing.
This was the first form of gun control in the United States in multiple decades.
No, it's not. Trump literally banned bump stocks like 2 years ago, 3 years ago.
The CHIPS Act was another huge investment in America, focusing on manufacturing here at home, which has played a huge role in gaining jobs here in America for manufacturing. Now, with all this said, unemployment is at a 54-year low, GDP continues to surge, and we're seeing a very impressive economic recovery. And no, I didn't cover it all, but I think you get the idea. The guy's been impressive. If you want to hear more stuff like this, I have a podcast with Harry Sisson, who's another creator on this app. Our podcast is called Chris and Harry Unplugged. We have some cool stuff you could
Gay.
Maine's congressman from the 2nd Congressional District, a Democrat, just got on a stage and said, I was once opposed to gun control. I was once opposed to banning deadly assault weapons. He took responsibility for the shooting. He asked for forgiveness.
I'm just trying to think of good shills for the John Wick before the show ends.
He apologized and said, I am willing to work with Congress on gun control measures. Wow, a Democrat. That is stunning. That is how you do this. That is how you govern. Where are Republicans? Where?
You know who he reminds me of? Oh my god. Oh fuck, I gotta find this. This dude's hilarious. He's like, oh my god. Okay, I gotta find it. Hold on.
No.
Good. Oh fuck, I can't remember his name. But it's the guy who talks about like the cutest animals you've ever seen that want nothing more than to kill you. Oh fuck. Oh, it's gonna take me forever to find it. Here, let me replay this while I look.
There's just a mass shooting in Maine, and Maine's congressman from the 2nd Congressional District, a Democrat, just got on a stage and said, I was once opposed to gun control. I was once opposed to banning deadly assault weapons. He took responsibility for the shooting. He asked for forgiveness. He apologized and said, I am willing to work with Congress on gun control measures. Wow, a Democrat. That is stunning.
What? Aren't Democrats usually anti-gun freedom?
That is how you do this.
Otherwise known as anti-freedom?
That is how you govern. Where are Republicans? Where? Silent. That's right. They're wearing AR-15 pins into Congress. Republicans in the NRA.
Yep, that's me. You're probably wondering how I ended up in this.
Spree in Kilimanjaro, kill Test Driven, kill Apocalypse, open season, Killionaire, killing frenzy, running riot, yes. Buck Wild.
Absolutely amazing. Mailman with the loads. That's it. That's the message. Thank you, Mailman. I appreciate that, good sir.
Are flaunting death to the American people, flaunting tragedy, spitting in the face of the American people, and more focused on getting airtime on Tucker Carlson than doing anything about this issue. It's unbelievable. We could have the solution tomorrow. We could sign the legislation.
All right, it's starting to become unfunny because I can't find the goddamn TikTok.
Tomorrow, just one signature. But Republicans won't do anything about it, and enough has to be enough. The American people have to...
Here are the worst facts.
This guy. This is who he reminds me of.
I could find about the scary goddamn place we call the ocean. Number one, we know more about space.
Nice one. Dark Will coming in hot. Dark Will coming in super hot with the 110. Wish granted. All his words are so hollow, you can't even muster the energy to be mad at him. Lastly, are you talking about Casual Geographic? No, it's this cat. It was this cat. Thank you so much, Darkwill, for the big 110. Big Tug, this guy's fucking hilarious.
Has stand up and say, we are not doing this
Can we get a big thank you to Mailman and Darkwill out there, guys?
anymore. Oh my God. My heart goes out to Maine. I am so sorry to the people affected, truly. I'm sorry.
I am so sorry. I'm truly very sorry. All right, let's listen to what this podcast is. No, that's not their podcast, anyway. Look at the big man energy here. Look at that. Is there any more videos? Are we? Oh no.
Election gears up for 2024. You see all these polls. Donald Trump is leading Joe Biden by 10.
What an absolute soy boy.
Zed the Snarky. Enough said. Very true. Very true. Thank you, Zed.
10 points, the Washington Post says. Young people have flipped to Donald Trump. Joe Biden's poll numbers are collapsing. Blah, blah, blah. Listen to me. First of all, it's still very early. And second of all, focus on the fact. And the fact is that all of these issues are overwhelmingly wins for Democrats. Overwhelmingly. I don't care what the polls say. Overwhelmingly, we win.
Overwhelmingly. Did you hear that?
I don't care what the polls say. Overwhelmingly, we win.
Overwhelmingly.
On abortion rights, on gun control, on climate change, on LGBTQ plus rights. Are you kidding me? Give me November 2024. I don't care what the noise says.
You guys, hold on. You guys see what I'm talking about, though, right? Like, the dude reminds me of this guy with how he, it's his cadence and how he talks.
Animals that are so ridiculous, I refuse to acknowledge their existence based on principle. Oh, but Tucker, you just made this video 2 days ago. Yeah, and then you guys sent me a bunch more fucked up animals, and I have the patience of a toddler in a TSA line. So we're getting right into it. Number one is the Suriname toad, or Suriname toad. Who gives a shit, honestly? Before I show you a picture of this thing, I want to give a trigger warning to that one specific fear with tiny holes. Alexa, what's the fear of tiny holes in a group?
It's called trypophobia.
Trypophobia. Thank you, Alexa. That's all I needed. Please, for the love of God. My dad has this fear, so Dad, look away. Are you fucking kidding me?
I want to see it.
It's back, and that's because it lays its eggs.
Awful.
I promise you, Joe Biden is winning that election, and it'll be because of young people. And you can count them out again, but I promise you there is plenty of Americans sitting there watching front-runner Republicans right now say climate change doesn't exist. How many Americans do you think agree with that statement?
Most.
Not many. Oh, you don't have the right to an abortion. Nobody fucking agrees with that. Blah, blah, blah.
But people do.
Blah, blah, blah. We don't care that kids get shot in school. Blah, 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 blah. Loss, 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 loss. You are going to lose. And the funny thing is, they keep writing Joe Biden out. They're like, Joe Biden's too old. We're going to write him out. Funny thing about Joe Biden is he doesn't write back. So good luck.
That was so emotional.
He doesn't write back. So good luck.
Okay, let's hear what this podcast is, then we're going to get the fuck out of here. Okay, we're going to give it like 2 more minutes. We're going to get the fuck out of here. Guys, thank you so much. Last show with the regular donations on. By the time we come back Friday, it will be Christmas AF in this bitch.
I was with a group of people this week, and I asked a person of mine, I don't know if some people are calling it a relationship these days. I'm not sure if I'd call it a relationship.
A person of mine. Ugh. I wonder if they would be happy to hear you say that.
Just a person I'm fond of. Maybe a woman. I like to keep these things broad on social media. You and I have a rule about this. You know, I like to be open and honest on social media, but not too open and honest. You know, a lot of people we'll talk about later are pretty insane in this world. Got to keep it somewhat private. But let's just say I'm fond of this person. I was in a group. She said, "What do you want to be for Halloween?"
It might be a man, she said.
I looked at her dead serious. I looked at the 6 other people in this group. I said, I want to be Joe Biden.
And everyone beat him up and stole his lunch money. Right? That's it?
They weren't fond of it, Harry. They wouldn't accept. They said, apparently this is a time to be, you know, more promiscuous. I'm not supposed to, which is fine. I don't have a problem with that. But I want to be Joe Biden. I want to get the aviators. I want to get the mask. I want to be such a great American president. Someone as a 21-year-old that I look up to. You know,
I've heard he's 21 more than anything else.
But they weren't rocking with Joe.
Ooh, the Gotenks fight against the Hitler army. Oh, that's good. I gotta write that down. Hold on. That's pretty good. That was Fusion Reborn, wasn't it?
Joe Biden is Halloween. I mean, are you going to be Joe Biden for? Don't you have aviators?
I do have aviators. And listen.
We're all going to be Joe Biden for Halloween.
Let me throw in the aviators for our YouTube watchers here, because it's all part of the pod, right? I think being Joe Biden.
It's part of the pod. Drunkle. That's it. From here on out, every AAA meeting, it's the AAA meeting, your favorite pod.
For Halloween is great. But I don't think being Donald Trump for Halloween is acceptable, because that guy's a traitor. So here's me with the aviators on.
Why do I feel like these kids get bullied just constantly?
Oh, man. This is Chris and Harry Unplugged, everybody.
Oh, man. Yeah.
With their 8 viewers. Ah. All right. Fine. That's it. We're done. Guys, thank you for coming and hanging out. Thank you for an incredible show this evening. I will see you all tomorrow for the Sin and Sass stream on the Sin and Sass channel at 3 p.m. EST. Then the AAA meeting probably at 5:30 p.m. EST. Maybe on Polly's channel. We'll see.